Hi guys, I hope you are all staying well and keeping up with the learning material that's been sent to you. As you remember, or may remember at the beginning of the school year, we talked about several reasons why history matters. Perhaps the biggest reason why history matters is because it can provide us with a better understanding of what's happening in our world today, and even solutions to many of the problems of the present. The whole reason we are learning from home right now is because of a pandemic, a virus that has spread all over the world. This virus spread so easily, and we know so little about it, that it has are the leaders of nations all over the world concerned about the health and well-being of their citizens. History can give us hope that while we might be a bit nervous or even scared about the coronavirus, there are many examples in history of widespread diseases and lessons that were learned about how we should respond to them. For example, sixth graders, right now, you're studying medieval Europe. One of the lessons you have been given is on the Black Plague, or Black Death. The plague was a contagious disease very much like the flu. The reason this event in world history is so memorable is because this virus, which spread from Asia to Europe, wiped out 30% or more of Europe's population before it was over. The good news for us is that today we know why that happened, and we can prevent many of the things that caused so many to die. Unlike Europe in the 1300s, we now know how germs are spread. We know about hand washing and social distancing. We know what kind of cleaners kill germs, and we have medicines and medical treatments to help those who become infected. Seventh graders, earlier this year, you learned about immunity when we discussed the Native Americans who died in large numbers from diseases that were brought to the New World from Europe by colonists who were immune to these diseases that had already spread through their communities and their countries. And they had what we call antibodies in their bodies already to fight these infections. If you watched the news at all recently, you've heard that term before, antibodies, as our governments are testing people right now to see who and how many currently have the antibodies that fight off coronavirus. You may also remember learning about diseases like smallpox from early in our nation's history. America's war for independence may have ended very differently if it had not been for some very smart people who discovered the fact that if you can give a group of people just the right amount of a disease, most of those people will not die from the disease and will even have a resistance to getting that disease in the future. This is called inoculation, and it is what led to the use of vaccinations today. It's the reason that almost no one in the 21st century ever gets diseases like smallpox. Finally, eighth graders, you may remember when we learned about World War I. We talked about all the soldiers that went back to their countries and took a flu virus with them. The flu pandemic of 1918 looked a whole lot like the coronavirus pandemic that we're experiencing today, except that many more people died during that time than we will likely see from the virus that we're dealing with right now. That's because our leaders are responding to this virus differently in many ways because of what we learned in 1918. The importance of quarantines, separating those who are infected from the rest, was a huge part of the lessons that we learned from the flu pandemic of 1918. During that time, we also learned a lot about what types of people are most vulnerable to diseases like flu and coronavirus. That's how our leaders knew enough, even before they closed the schools this time around, to close hospitals and nursing homes to all but essential workers. They knew that older people and people that already had other health concerns might not have immune systems strong enough to fight the virus. As I watch the news and read about what's going on in our world right now, I'm encouraged. Sure, I'm a bit nervous, but I see so much hope that we are learning from the past and that what we are learning now will help us to do even better in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again. In the meantime, we'll do our best to learn from home. Google some of these things, learn more. Do your best to avoid the crowds, practice social distancing, keep your hands washed, all that stuff. We'll all get through this just as, or perhaps even better than we have in the past.